Julian Conley is accused of killing the 8-year-old in 2020.
On July 4, 2020, while families across America celebrated Independence Day.
He says after reviewing hours of surveillance video frame by frame, he's confident Conley is the one who fired the deadly shot.
8-year-old Secoriea Turner was riding in the back seat of an SUV through Atlanta, just trying to get home. Within minutes, she would become the first victim in a night of violence that would shake the city to its core.
And the state says he shot and killed 8-year-old Secoriea Turner in July 2020.
5 years later, a courtroom would finally deliver the answer her family desperately needed. This is the story of how a summer of protests, armed barricades, and gang violence collided with the life of an innocent child, and how justice was ultimately served. The night everything changed, it was the evening of July 4, 2020. Secoriea Turner, a rising third grader at Kipway's Academy, had spent the day celebrating at her grandmother's house. The energetic 8-year-old was supposed to go to her father's place but wanted to keep playing with her cousins. After 9:30 that night, Secoriea climbed into the back seat of a Jeep with her mother, Charmaine Turner, and her mother's friend, who was driving. Their destination was simple: home. But the route would take them past a location that had become a flashpoint in America's reckoning with police brutality. Just before 9:50 p.m., their vehicle exited the downtown connector onto University Avenue in southwest Atlanta. They were heading toward the Wendy's restaurant where, 3 weeks earlier, 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks had been shot and killed by an Atlanta police officer. The area had transformed dramatically since Brooks' death. The Wendy's had been burned to the ground the night after the shooting. In the weeks that followed, protesters camped at the site, demanding justice and police reform. But mixed in with peaceful demonstrators was something far more sinister: armed men who had erected makeshift barricades, blocking roads and controlling who could pass through. As the Jeep approached the intersection of Pryor Road and University Avenue, the family encountered one of these illegal barricades. They tried to navigate around it, unaware that they were about to enter a deadly trap. At least 2 people opened fire on the vehicle. Multiple bullets pierced the SUV. One of them struck Secoriea. The driver desperately rushed toward Atlanta Medical Center, but Secoriea's injuries were catastrophic. She died before any medical attention could be given, still trapped in her seatbelt. Secoriea became the first of 28 people shot in Atlanta within a 24-hour period that deadly 4th of July weekend. 3 would die. But her death, the senseless killing of a child caught in crossfire, would haunt the city and demand answers. The investigation and arrests in the immediate aftermath, Atlanta was in crisis. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms made an emotional plea at a news conference alongside Secoriea's grief-stricken mother. "You shot and killed a baby," the mayor said. "If Secoriea was not safe last night, none of us are safe." But the investigation would reveal something even more disturbing than random violence. According to arrest warrants issued by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the armed men controlling the barricade weren't just protesters. They were members of the Bloods criminal street gang, and they had effectively seized control of an entire city block. The warrants alleged that gang members had been involved in burning the Wendy's and had terrorized an area where Atlanta police officers were not allowed to enter. Throughout the evening of July 4th, they used weapons and intimidation to control the intersection, deciding at gunpoint who could come and go. 2 men were charged in connection with Secoriea's death. Julian Conley, 19 years old at the time of the shooting, was accused of firing the fatal shot with an AR-15 style rifle. Jerrion McKinney was charged as his accomplice. Both were identified as members of the Bloods gang. McKinney would eventually plead guilty to aggravated assault, weapons charges, and gang-related offenses, receiving a 40-year sentence with 20 years to serve in prison. But he wasn't charged with murder. All eyes turned to Julian Conley, who maintained his innocence and pleaded not guilty. The trial 5 years after Secoriea's death. Julian Conley's trial finally began in September 2025 at Fulton County Superior Court. He faced 19 counts including murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and multiple gun and gang-related charges. The prosecution, led by Chief Deputy District Attorney Adam Abate, built their case on surveillance video from multiple businesses in the area. Detectives testified that the footage clearly showed Conley at the scene, wearing a distinctive red shirt and carrying an AR-15 rifle. The videos allegedly captured him pointing the weapon at vehicles, firing at the Jeep as it tried to pass the barricade, and shooting again as the family desperately tried to escape. No regard at all for human life, Abate told the jury. No regard for precious little Secoriea Turner, who was only trying to get home. A former Georgia Bureau of Investigation gang task force agent testified that Conley was a member of the Piru Bloods gang, Prosecutors argued that Conley and his gang had set up an armed checkpoint, terrorizing the community and deciding who could pass. The defense, led by attorney Arnold Regis, acknowledged that Conley was present at the scene and admitted his gang membership, but they insisted he wasn't the shooter. Regis pointed out that Secoriea's mother had initially described the shooter as a man dressed in all black, not red. To drive the point home, Regis even wore a bright red coat in court to demonstrate how distinctive the color was. "My closing is brought to you today by the color red," Regis told the jury, arguing that if Conley had been the shooter in his red shirt, witnesses would have identified him immediately. The defense also requested a mistrial after an Atlanta police detective repeatedly identified Conley by name while narrating surveillance video. Judge Trial Carnsale denied the motion, but instructed jurors to disregard the detective's repeated references. The verdict and sentencing: guilty. Julian Conley was convicted on 12 of the 19 charges, including murder, felony murder, 5 counts of aggravated assault, and several gun and gang-related offenses. He was acquitted on 7 of 8 gang charges. Tears ran down Charmaine Turner's face as the jury foreperson read each verdict. 5 years of waiting, 5 years of grief, 5 years of seeking justice for her daughter had led to this moment. Judge Carnsale immediately proceeded to sentencing. Both families made statements to the court. Secoria's parents urged the judge to impose the maximum sentence, saying they had seen no remorse from Conley. Conley's mother, Robin Conley, a former law enforcement instructor, spoke on her son's behalf. "Julian would like me to say that he is truly sorry for the loss of Secoriea Turner," she told the court. She pleaded for leniency, describing the 5 years her son had spent in Fulton County Jail awaiting trial. Turning to face Secoria's family, she said, "My family's heart and my heart goes out to you always." But Judge Carnsale's words were unsparing. She told Conley that videos shown during trial depicted him as a self-appointed enforcer. Aftermath and legacy: outside the courthouse, Secoria's father, Sir Corey Williamson, spoke to reporters. "Long process, and we got the justice we got for our innocent child," he said. "She was innocent and didn't deserve what happened to her. Still suffering to this day, not being able to see my child." Robin Conley announced plans to appeal the verdict, sharply criticizing city leadership and claiming the evidence was manipulated. "I think there are a lot of hands to blame," she said, pointing to the city's failure to control the area in summer 2020. And she's not entirely wrong about one thing. Questions remain about how the situation at the Wendy's was allowed to deteriorate so dramatically. Secoria's family filed a civil lawsuit against the city of Atlanta and officials, alleging negligence in failing to remove armed vigilantes who gathered at the site. The trial of Julian Conley represents more than just one man's conviction. It's about a city that lost control. If this story moved you, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into cases that demand justice and remembrance. Share this video to honor Secoria's memory and ensure her story is never forgotten. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, stay informed and stay compassionate.